Why, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another ad hoc one-on-one game, this time with Leoban.
Hello.
If you've been following along for some time, I've been running games in the interim between when we last left our group of intrepid adventurers and the 6 months that follow, just to kind of give each individual character a little bit of character development, their own kind of adventure where they get a chance to really kind of shine and uh, get a little something extra, just for funsies. Um, and this is the one that we're going to do with Leoben. This is a particular game that I've actually had planned since fourth level for you.
Oh,
So this is coming to fruition after quite a long time. Nine odd levels. So
that's fair. That's fair. Well, hopefully I don't fuck up your plans.
I have contingencies for both possibilities, or for multiple possibilities, if you go.
Although, be honest with me, part of me, the chaos sower, I was also like, but I also kind of hope I fuck up the plan.
Well, we'll see what happens. Um, so where we left off, you and your group had just defeated the shadow dragon that was kind of pulling the strings underneath the city of Winterhold. Once the shadow dragon was killed, the dark elves that had been a force in Winterhold broke, and Saul, who had taken over as the general in the wake of General Loomis's death,
Okay.
were able to drive them out of the city. You guys, while you were down in there, learned a little bit about there's some greater dark force at work, kind of behind some of the goings on in the world, both what happened at Winterhold and the dwarves dwarves and Goliaths that you had just been dealing with just prior to returning to Winterhold. And yeah, after the battle, everything's in chaos. Several high-ranking members of the government died during the course of various attacks and raids and whatnot, including the head of the Church of Zaratsu, the Hierophant,
Oh,
who
damn.
was the only person of sufficient skill and talent in Winterhold that could have restored Kira's arm. So she was a little salty about that. But at any rate, a
Hey,
few
she's your
things.
partner. You want to piss her off? That's all.
Anyway, so basically, a month transpires very, very quickly for you. Lots of stuff going on,
Okay.
lots of restoration, lots of rebuilding. For those of you who've been following this series already, you've heard some of this before, but this is the first that Brian has heard of any of this, so we're going to go over it again. Strap in. Um, the
I do have a brief question. Do we have, is this considered some downtime as well?
There will be some downtime in terms of the actual like game rule downtime, kind of
Yeah.
after this adventure. The
Oh,
the
okay.
the
Fair enough.
month,
Fair enough.
because what this adventure is just going to be a certain amount of time within that 6 months. It's not going to take the whole 6 months.
I gotcha. Okay. Never mind.
And the
Sorry.
first month you were really working on rebuilding. You're not going to have time to do much in the way of actual downtime action.
Sure.
So the first month is basically trying to build and restore and get everything fixed, at least up to something resembling status quo. The the women that had been running the kind of resistance, Kira's moms,
Yeah.
more or less take over as interim government.
Sure.
Because they'd already had, the position of authority. People were, the people on the inside were already listening to them.
Right.
the people on the outside. I mean, some of their, many of their leaders were already dead. So they took over, and one of the very first pieces of actual legislation that they put into effect after trying to get everything organized was they lifted the ban on elves and elven-blooded people on being able to enter and leave Winterhold.
We appreciate that.
There is pushback.
Sure.
One of the
Understandably so.
One of the religious leaders, who was the head of the Church of Caruth in Winterhold, a gentleman by the name of Alderman Bellamy, is vehemently against this particular course of action and is campaigning pretty heavily throughout that the Moms are not the rightful leaders. The Bergland matriarchy are not the rightful leaders, and that an elder ought to be rightfully elected and put into place. Now,
is that kind of a common tradition for the continent in general?
The continent, no. Winterhold, yes.
I know that is kind of a little bit for Saul's Rest too, but
kind of. Saul's Rest has those traditions,
but they've kind of morphed it a little bit.
Well, I mean, go ahead and make a history roll.
Hey, oh crap.
Maybe we can do a little lore dump here.
I got an 11 on the die, so 12.
It's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
So Saul's Rest has a very democratic way of choosing their elder. It just happens that the elder has been one of the Dragonfriend family for literally generations.
Sure.
Argencoria is the first non-Dragonfriend to be elder for as long as anybody can remember, and then some.
Gotcha.
So it is technically a democracy, but it always just worked out that the town eldership fell to a Dragonfriend.
Gotcha.
And the town thrives as a result. Like it has thrived, it has continued to thrive for generations as a result. So
sure.
It's kind of like a if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of situation.
Right. And then she broke it.
You actually seem to remember reading at some point, or maybe Adira was talking about it when she was reading a history book, but the actual hierarchy in Winterhold was modeled after Saul's Rest initially when it was founded.
Oh, okay.
And it was adopted to be a matriarchy. The elder in Winterhold is always a female.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and it has kind of changed and morphed throughout the long history of this continent. But ultimately, the government was originally based around that. Now, Winterhold has grown into a much larger community than Saul's Rest, but not necessarily a wealthier one.
Okay.
Sorry, little hiccups.
How dare you, sir?
After the Elven occupation ended, 8,000 years ago,
Sure.
The tradition was that elves were not allowed. And so this attracted a lot of humans and other races that had a kind of deep-seated hatred for the elves and what they had tried to do 8,000 years ago to kind of gravitate there. So one might call it slightly human supremacist.
Right.
And
the other term for that is racist.
You are correct. They are deeply racist against the elven race, even despite the fact that the elves that were actually originally indigenous to Solanel, this continent,
right.
Fought against the invading elves during their occupation.
Sure.
But they kind of gloss over that part.
Well, it gets lost in history.
Like, it's known, but it's kind of like It's like telling a white supremacist that there were black people that fought during the Civil War.
Right.
I mean, it's just like it's fucked. It is completely fucked and not okay.
It's fair.
The moms, the Berglund matriarchy, had always kind of lobbied against and kind of pushed the envelope towards a more acceptance of elves and what have you. And now that they've kind of taken some nominal control of the city, they just said, "Fuck it, we're going to open it up." Largely because the two of the people responsible for freeing the city were an elf and somebody who was elven blood. So
Right.
they kind of used that as to kind of leverage it. Like, yeah, we're just going to do this, and you're not going to argue with us. Alderman Bellamy is a human supremacist and is very much against the idea of opening the city up to elves after 8,000 years of tradition.
Well, and I could see also the pushback too, because the Drow had kind of assaulted and took the place over. They technically are elves.
Correct. And so there's been a lot of kind of back and forth, some somewhat uncomfortable moments for you and Katie. But overall, the moms have stuck to their guns. They haven't waffled or quailed or anything like that in the face of the pushback.
I imagine Kira has probably also more me than Katie, because Katie's got wisdom. Well, I mean, I'm wise too, but I'm also cocky and brash. But I imagine Katie would probably schooled me on the politer points of keeping my damn mouth shut.
Yeah, very likely.
Especially in the presence, like, do not give him ammunition.
Do not give him a reason to
Right.
be any more of an asshole than he already is.
So I imagine I probably had to bite my tongue just a little bit on
You've
those
had to
meetings.
bite your tongue a couple of times. During that month, just a couple of world things. Saul has stepped up as acting general.
Okay.
He has insisted on keeping the title acting general,
Sure.
despite being requested multiple times to just take over full generalship of the armed forces. You've noted that he seems to be grooming both Kira and her brother Tristan as potentially a replacement.
Interesting. Okay.
The dwarves, after a couple of weeks, do show up and are immediately integrated into helping with the restoration, rebuild some of the buildings that were, burned down or looted or destroyed or what have you. And also to supplement the ranks of the army, which, as you probably vividly recall, was badly, badly hurting
Right.
after one particular battle.
Yeah, the zombie mobs were not kind.
They were not kind. They killed a large quantity of the soldiers.
Yeah.
Now, that was the kind of backup force that was supposed to be waiting there, so it wasn't the whole army. But the rest of the army were literally on the walls fighting a pitched battle. So they didn't fare super well either. But that notwithstanding, they used the dwarves to kind of supplement the ranks of everything. The individual known as Whiskey Jack appears to have taken up residence in Winterhold and is enacting some vigilante justice by night, keeping the streets, particularly during the early days of some fairly intense chaos, as everything is trying to get itself sorted out, has kept the innocent citizens of Winterhold safe from a less than savory element that would take advantage of the chaos.
If I can,
Yeah.
at some time during that month, because I admit curiosity would be piqued, and truthfully, I'd also like to do some good, but keep it kind of anonymous because I don't at the same point want to get in trouble with Kira. But I imagine there'd be probably a few times where I would do some nighttime patrols, as much to try to stumble across Whiskey Jack and maybe join them.
If you do this enough nights in a row, eventually, yes, you do garner the attention of Whiskey Jack, and after a probably fairly tense conversation, managed to convince her that you can do some good. And for a while during the course of that first month, that is one of the things that you wind up doing. Um, about 3 weeks in, you had just finished. And we're going to storyline this part of it a little bit. You had just finished a patrol with Whiskey Jack, and you were making your way just before dawn back to where you'd been sleeping. And it takes you very close to where you guys had gone down into the underneath to fight the dragon. And as you get close to it, you heard this beautiful song almost. It wasn't quite, and it's one of those things where it's like you're not sure if you're imagining it or if you're actually hearing it, kind of drawing you down into the shadows. And you go,
Sure.
and it led you to the corpse of the dragon, wherein you felt the compelling urge to remove its heart, which you did.
Okay.
Not really sure why, but you
Pretty
did.
big. That was a big dragon, as I recall.
Yes, it's about the size of a basketball.
Damn.
Yeah, big heart.
Okay.
Actually, that might even be small for a dragon that size, but
Maybe like a beach ball?
yeah, maybe more like a beach ball. But as you remove it, you realize that it's not like flesh. It appears to be crystalline in nature. Maybe that's how shadow dragons decompose. You're not sure because it's been 3 weeks at
Wow.
this point. But it's
Sure,
like this,
sure.
and it's not like you can lift it without a problem. It's not super heavy, but it has kind of like the smooth sides and faceted covering around it. And when you kind of look
Okay.
into it, you see the darkness kind of swirling around.
Creepy.
By the end of that week, during the course of the following week, after you retrieve the heart, you keep getting this intense urge to travel to the northeast. And each passing day, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger until finally, at the end of that first month, it's nigh unbearable.
Now, as I recall, and I don't have the map in front of me, but I remember there was an island sort of off the northeast, right?
You are correct. The island is simply known as the Frozen Wood. It is haunted as far as local legend is concerned, and local people don't go there.
Okay.
But by the end of that final week of that month, you are just champing at the bit to go.
Okay. Well, I will. I'll probably just leave message with Katie,
Yeah.
stating, "Hey, there's something I gotta do. I think it'll be quicker if I do it on my own. It'll just, I mean, I got the helm. I can get back here really quick. I pick up a pebble. Good to go."
Yeah. What I find amusing is that everybody has kind of like it's about that month mark that everybody's adventure starts, so they all kind of start splitting off. And I found it funny because everybody had to do it by foot.
Sure.
But okay, so you leave a message for your companions, Katie specifically, but the companions in general. And
Because I know, I mean, like I probably don't ever bother Kira with anything if I don't have to, because I know she's probably helping.
oh
She's
yeah,
probably, of all of us, probably her and Dira, truthfully, as the bureaucrat and the upcoming budding general to be potentially. I imagine they are hip deep in all of the bureaucratic nuance. At least I would guess.
yes. You
Um,
do know that Malin is, when the dwarves arrived, the Merrick of the Stone, the Brad Pitt of dwarves, uh, was with them, and so you know that he and Malin have been shacking up.
Sure, sure. As they should. I'll live vicariously through my barbarian friend, although if I don't think about it too much. Anyway.
Some odd conversations came out of that coupling, but anyway, um,
Some odder children, I imagine. Actually, that's how the mole race would have been created. Dwarf and a Goliath. They, and away you go.
a Dwarliath.
A Dorliath.
A Dwarliath.
A Duergar. That's how the Duergar made. Oh my god.
And now we know. And now we know.
I mean, they're usually bald, and they can grow big.
Right, and they're gray.
Time.
And they're gray
And they're
skinned.
gray skin.
See, now we understand where Duergar came from.
Right.
Unholy coupling between a Goliath and a
We
dwarf.
thought Goliaths were only made in third ed. I mean, they were, but that's not it.
I mean, fuck it. That can be canon in this world. It's a homebrew. Why not?
There you go.
So you, I assume, provision up to some degree.
Yes.
I'm not going to make you keep track of provisions, but I assume you grab whatever you need to go.
Well, I do have 15 days of trail rations, but I also, my background is Outlander, so I can make survival checks to find food and forage and stuff.
Sure.
Because, my daddy was a ranger and my mommy was a druid.
Terrifying druid, yes.
Yeah. So, to say they taught me how to do outdoorsy shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, your dad literally works as, like, a woodsman in Saul's Rest, so...
Although I imagine when I was being a bratty kid, they would be like, you know what, screw this, Mom would take me, bring me out in the forest, just leave me there. just like, figure out your own way back. Like frickin' ranger school, just like toss them out in the middle of nowhere. It's like... And she'd probably keep an eye on them in like owl form or something.
Just like,
just to make sure like nothing happened. But the kid needs to suffer a little bit. We'll see how he does with the starving.
It would be hilarious. So you start heading northeast, and you eventually, it takes about a week or so. And of course, the further north you go, the colder it's getting.
Sure.
But again, you're the outdoorsy type. Saul's Rest has seasons.
Right.
So you're not unaccustomed to, being outside when it's this cold, taking care of yourself. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna make you make survivor rolls. You know how to do this stuff.
Sure.
And you eventually get to the coast. And it's very much like a north... it's like a Great Lakes beach, so there's lots of like rocks and pebbles, not sand.
North Shore beaches.
Yeah, very much a North Shore beach.
Beaches.
Right. Yeah. So there's, gravel and rocks and sand kind of off in either direction as far as the eye can see.
Sure.
And kind of off... You know how in Duluth, when you stand and look at Superior from like Canal Park, you can almost see Wisconsin?
Right. Or you can see it start to disappear up the horizon.
Right. Well, as you're looking, you can almost see the island.
Oh, okay.
So it's out there a ways. But as you're looking, like, again, people don't go here. As far as you know, there's not a ferry service or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can see it with my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm, at least for the moment, kind of judge the distance. However, I think what I'm going to do is when we're nearing sort of the twilight, so when the sun's not fully down, but down enough that it's considered shadowy.
Sure.
I'm gonna then attempt to teleport,
Okay.
and that way, if I don't get close enough, but I'm sort of close, then I can maybe try to shadow jump and not die in the freezing depths of the ocean.
All right.
I mean, I'm cocky. What the hell do I know? I mean,
So go ahead and roll me a D100, please.
come on, baby. Be nice to me. Oh, that's not bad. 85. Actually, that's not bad at all.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. So, you adjust the helm on your brow. You kind of press against one of the gems. You feel the magical energy as the world kind of whoop around you, and you kind of into existence. And you're standing on kind of another rock beach, still kind of facing in the same direction that you had been facing. So you've got like the sun on your far left,
Okay.
the darkening sky on your right, and you see this immense pinewood forest, and you start hearing that song again, coming from deeper into the woods.
Okay. I am going to. I would like to be stealthies, but
Okay.
I'm definitely gonna pursue the stealthily. And maybe with some poofing, uh, 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 move closer towards the music.
Okay. Go ahead and roll stealth.
27.
Nice. Yeah, you are reasonably certain you are as silent as the grave
And
as you
imagine,
creep
I mean,
forward.
because the beauty of the shadow stepping is like I could like poof up into a tree
Yeah. Yep.
and then like poof down, maybe move a little bit, then poof up to something else, or
And any open areas you don't have less than 60 feet, you don't have to worry about. So,
right.
right. Um, so you,
And admittedly, he's not afraid to go slow too, like stop and observe for like 5-10 minutes, and then like go ahead.
it is full dark by the time you get deep. You start, like, it's full dark by the time you get to where you think you're going.
Sure.
And sure enough, you follow the sound, and again, it takes you a while. It takes you probably about 2 hours or so. Um, and you do occasionally like poof up into a tree and kind of observe for a little bit. Um, this place seems to be generally untouched by humanoids.
Okay.
There's plenty of fauna about. Um, but like at one point you poofed up into a tree and didn't realize that there's literally like an owl perched on a branch not very far away. And it just kind of stared at you. Like it didn't fly away, it wasn't afraid, didn't attack. It just kind of turned its, owly head towards you and just kind of stared until you poofed away.
That's a little strange.
Um, and
Now,
you
when you say normal, like I'm assuming normal fauna, like we haven't seen any the equivalent of magical beasts or anything like that. It's all just been like normal critters.
so far what you have seen have just been whatever you've seen has been normal.
Okay.
You do hear some
Normal.
wolves periodically,
Okay.
and there was one point where you hear kind of a like you hear the wolves, and then you hear a more, if you could describe a wolf howl as basso. Uh, Much larger, you think, than any other wolf that you will have run across, i.e., a dire
Gotcha.
wolf or possibly a winter wolf.
Sure.
And like shit, that sort of thing kind of briefly crosses your mind. Um, oh, they're doing the sirens again. I'm like, speaking about wolves. Uh, so anyway, but you
For
get to
those of us who are not in Minnesota, every once in a while they do tornado drills where they play some sirens.
yep. It is a severe weather awareness week apparently, so they're doing testing our tornado warning system.
And for those of us who are in Minnesota, it's just a normal.
Right. It's pretty common. Anyway, you arrive at a clearing. At the center of the clearing, you see three individuals. Um, two of them, well, one of them stands out more than the other ones. Uh, he is he is elven,
Okay.
uh, and looks to be just pure elven. Kitty, you are not helpful. Ah, go down. Okay. Sorry. There we go. All right. So yes, he is pure elf, from what you can see, and he looks. I can't remember if you're with that group or not. Um, you remember? God, I don't remember if you're with that group. When Kira was when you guys returned to Saul's Rest, and Kira was jumped by a group of individuals who were going for the haversack, and they were mostly spellcasters. Were you with that group, or were you not?
That does not sound familiar, so I'm guessing no.
Okay, so you have no idea who this person is, but he's wearing very like dark robes, but he's not really making any attempt to hide himself. As are the other two are a little less conspicuous. Like this guy is like he's wearing the equivalent to like the stars and moons hat that Mickey Mouse wears in Fantasia. Like his outfit screams, "I'm a goddamn spellcaster."
Gotcha.
Carrying what looks like a spinal column that has been fashioned into a staff. And he is quite conspicuous despite the black robes. The other two are less conspicuous. One appears to be a drow, and the other, actually, I think two.
Is it perhaps a female drow that looks surprisingly like Isri?
Well, yes, you do see there is a male drow and a female drow.
At least I think Isri was a female.
Yep, Isri was female. But yeah, so you see a male drow and a female drow, and they're both like they're not making any real effort to hide, but just because
Sure.
of their nature, they are a little harder to discern in the darkness. And they're kind of standing like the two drow are standing a little closer together. The spellcaster is standing a little distance apart, and they appear to be waiting for something. And kind of at their feet, glowing but like in a blacklight sort of way,
Okay.
is this small crystalline device that looks
that
a little like the heart that you have.
is that also what's producing the music?
It appears to be yes.
All right. So while staying hidden and maybe just a little bit ways back, I'll use my Isri sending stone token
Okay.
and be like, so who's all sitting there?
Uh, and after a moment, you see her reach into a pouch and pull out the response stone. And she doesn't hide it or anything like that. And she's like, why don't you come out and meet them?
I don't like it. I don't like it. Um, you know what? I'm gonna, because I'm cocky. Why not mess with the spellcasters a little bit? Um, I would like to bamf behind one of the spellcasters.
Okay.
At least, ideally, trying to as best I can not be noticed.
Sure.
If you want, I
Yeah,
roll.
go ahead and re-roll.
Oh, that's a 19 on the die. So 33.
Jesus. You seem to be unnoticed.
And I'm gonna just lean close so my lips are like just right by the person's ear and go, "What are we waiting for?"
Oh, yeah. No, he's... I mean, his passive in perception's not bad, but it's not 33. So... Yeah, so you see the spellcasters are kind of... Oh, for God's sake. Oh, for the... Sorry. Oh, for the... Oh, for... How would you phrase that? Oh... Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Yeah, he's... Oh, for fuck's sake. And you see Earsy kind of cover her mouth a little bit. The male drow seems to be kind of unmoved.
And then I'll kind of circle around so I'm sort of facing the group, but kind of like if they're on this side, I'll kind of like circle around so I'm just kind of there, so we're all kind of seeing each other.
And you see the drow, which was because he was the one that was kind of closer to Earsy, moves to kind of counterpoint you. So you're standing in a 4 point, like at 4 different points.
Sure.
And you see Earsy kind of... wasn't certain you were going to make it. I'm glad you did. These are my fellow order members. This is Zelig Corvinir, and she gestures to the spellcaster.
Sorry, Zelig.
Zelig Corvinir. Khorvanir.
Okay.
And she gestures to the male drow and says, "This is Sorn Bainray."
And again, the wizard looks like a surface elf,
Yes, he looks like a high elf.
high elf, and then the other one's drow.
Both the other two are drow.
Right.
And Zelig has kind of regained his composure after the little scare that you gave him, and he doesn't really respond to the introduction, but you do note that Soren kind of gives you a respectful nod at his introduction.
Yeah, truthfully, my internal arm's probably more worried about him than the wizard.
Probably.
Which is a disturbing thought, because logically, but at any rate.
She kind of gives you a second to take everybody in, and then she says, "These are two... Well, we make up 3 of the 4... 3 of the 4 leaders of the Order of the Shadowed Path. We are still awaiting the Baroness."
Can I ask a few questions while we're waiting?
You see Earsy kind of nod.
Did you know my mom was still alive?
We had no knowledge whatsoever whether or not she was alive or dead. We knew she'd gone into the Feywild and that she had not returned.
Well, at least when last I saw her, about give or take 3 weeks ago,
Closer to 5 at this point.
or about 5 weeks ago, still kicking.
That is a relief to hear.
She She went back there though. Do you know why?
That is a question that will have to be asked of the Baroness.
Okay.
Did you retrieve the creature's heart?
I did.
That is good. That is very good. And then there's a little shimmer of shadow, kind of literally in the center of the four of you.
Sure.
And you see a woman, at least female bodied, but she's wearing a top hat and kind of like coat and tails, but really ragged and rough around the edges. Her face is literally a skull face. Like, she has flesh, but it's like tattooed in place, like the Arenial elves.
Got like a skull tattoo.
Yeah, like a skull tattoo. Her skin is dark, but you don't think she's drow. She's vaguely elven in how she presents. Although you do see, kind of from under the top hat, curling underneath the top hat, what appears to be a pair of horns. And she does indeed have, like, she even has like a cane that she's kind of holding in front of her with, both hands. And she's like, he would not have been called here if he hadn't retrieved the heart, and you know that, Izzy. You see Izzy kind of look down. You can make an insight check as you're kind of glancing around at Izzy, Sorn, and Zelig.
Sadly, not a skill I have ranks in. Or proficiency with. But my wisdom's not bad, but I still got a 9. So I'm not really...
Okay. You do note that all of them, as soon as she appeared, averted their eyes.
Oh, okay.
What that means exactly, you're not sure. But they are doing their best to kind of not make direct eye contact. She, on the other hand, is looking directly at you.
And out of character, there are ideas, but Leoban wouldn't have a fucking clue, so...
You see she kind of steps forward.
Again, both his ideal, his personality trait, and flaws are written in as cocky. So he'll just I mean, he is already a little bit on the sort of not quite tense, but definitely in kind of a loose stance, ready to go if he needs to do something, kind of thing. So he just kind of looks at her more or less kind of straight on.
And she's looking directly back at you, and you kind of like... She has what appears to be like... Maybe they're goggles of night, but basically they're sunglasses.
Sure.
But she kind of pulls them down over her nose, and you can see she has these eyes are this golden color rimmed with red, and her irises are vertical.
Oh, damn. Okay.
As she kind of steps forward, and she reaches out a hand. She doesn't quite touch you, but she reaches out a hand just under your chin. And just from the proximity, like she's close enough that like it's there-ish, but you feel cold just kind of radiating off of her. And she kind of looks at you down her nose, and she says, "He is a lot younger than the last one. Are you certain he's ready?" And you see Izzy, yes, my lady. He defeated with his companions Darkness Shines, and he has a relationship with the Chosen, with the Bearer. Ah, that is the ever-important part of it, isn't it? Ask your question.
Okay, so Prepare me for what? And who's the chosen?
Chosen is the elven word. You would refer to her as the bearer. Your friend Kira. And you hear the spellcaster Zelig kind of. I still think she is ill-equipped. I think it does need to go to an elf. We at least are used to long lifespans. She's merely human. And actually, you hear the Baroness joins you in that laughter.
You've obviously never met her, but I digress.
Actually, our dear friend Zelig did meet her in battle. He failed miserably. And you see Zelig kind of shuts up and looks down at the ground again, just kind of chagrined. You have been brought here. You were tapped originally by Irzi, and you have been brought here to be indoctrinated into our little cabal.
This Order of the Shadowed Path.
Yes. Irzi has been sending reports of your progress. She's very pleased. Speaks quite highly of you.
And I'll kind of look over and give her a kind of a nod. I won't really.
Do you understand the... Well, no, of course you wouldn't. The Order of the Shadowed Path has existed for many, many thousands of years. Our job, our destiny, is to maintain the balance. The pendulum swings one way, we go the other. You have been chosen specifically for one particular task. Your skill and expertise are necessary, but more than that, your relationship with the bearer is critical.
How out of balance are things if it's critical?
Fairly. If the entity known as Akodaban gets their hands on the haversack of terrible things, and you see her lip kind of curl around the name, she finds it amusing.
Akodaban?
Akodaban. You have actually heard this name before. It was being chanted by the dark dragon, by the shadow dragon in the cavern.
What did they give for the name of the shadow dragon?
They didn't. Well, there is a name. I don't know if they gave it though.
You just mentioned it briefly, but I didn't write it down. I'm sorry.
Darkness Shines. If the creatures, the minions of Akodaban, were to get their hands on the haversack of terrible things, there would be no hope for this world. And I like this world. It's where I keep my stuff.
Cute.
So we
All
keep
right.
it out of the hands of those that would use it for world-ending purposes.
Okay.
And you see she's got those glasses down. She's kind of staring into you with those kind of freaky eyes.
So who's a Kodaban?
I don't have all of the answers there either, but he's an ancient force. He was a powerful dragon before Godfall. He's been... well, we don't know where he's been. Away. For many thousands of years. And now he's back. Part of the reason why Godfall occurred was because of a great war between the gods. I'm sure you know your history.
I know enough, I guess. I mean, what they tell you in Sunday school.
Well, part of the reason why there were so many gods is, as it stands, there are 3 of the newer gods. There are some who say that there are 3 others, but they take less of a direct interest in our world.
Okay.
Kodaban aims to ascend beyond the Divine Gate, destroy the Prime Triad, and preside over Solanol as its single deity.
Wow.
To say that Kodaban is unspeakably evil is probably not putting enough emphasis on how bad that is.
I see.
If you join us, if you perform the ritual and perform a task, you will become a member of the Order of the Shadowed Path, and your sole purpose will be to protect the bearer and the haversack from those that would use those items to end the world. You are not the first guardian. I doubt you will be the last. But you are what we have. And that's going to have to be good enough.
Well, and I'm assuming and I keep pronouncing it Isri, but it's Yerzy?
Earsy.
Yerzy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm assuming sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. I ask, why hasn't anyone tried to destroy the haversack of horrible things?
It can't be done. Not without, again, global consequences.
Ah.
There is enough power there it would end badly for everybody involved.
Well, then I guess you're in luck that that I care deeply for my friends and family and wish to protect them from harm. So I'm in, but just to let you know, if it comes down to a choice between choosing you or choosing them, I'll choose them.
You see the Baroness kind of smirk and glance over at Earsy. And she says, "You were right. He is exactly what we need." You have a good heart. And as much as I would love to eat it, we need you more.
Right, and so distracting myself from that brutally honest statement, I'm gonna do like, so what's this ritual involved?
I will need the heart of the creature that you killed below Winterhold.
Okay.
And she holds out a hand.
Before I do so, what does this ritual do exactly?
It will give you the power. The power of the Shadow Guardian. It will give you the ability to protect your friends and family. And the longevity necessary to do so. You hear Zelig, or you hear Sorn kind of. Technically, it won't give you the longevity. That's going to be something else. But it will give you power.
What's the catch?
Your duty will always be to protect. And I do mean always.
Okay. And I'll pull out the heart.
Do you hand it to her?
Yeah.
She takes it, walks it over to the spellcaster. Zelig, who kind of reaches out with, he takes both hands and he just kind of, "I wish it to be known that I deeply object to this." Baroness kind of says, "Your objections have been noted repeatedly. Now shut up and do what I'd ask you to." You see him kind of just. So he reaches into a pouch and he pulls out some kind of powder or something. Maybe actually, honestly, it kind of as he's sprinkling it over the heart, it looks like potpourri, except stinkier.
Okay. Some weird incense.
Yeah, some kind of weird like potpourri incense type of thing. But he sprinkles it over the heart, which kind of as he does so, as the bits kind of melt or kind of hit it, it starts to melt. Until he's literally seeming to hold a ball of concentrated shadow.
Oh wow. Okay.
And he hands it over to. He literally offers it to the Baroness, and you see she's kind of taken the staff and driven it into her cane and driven it into the ground. There we go. Takes the ball and kind of walks it over to you. Or she walks it over to Earsy first. Kind of offers it up, and Earsy kind of inhales, breathes it back. She takes it over to Sorn. He does the same thing, kind of inhales and breathes it back. Takes it back to Zelig. He inhales and breathes it back. And then you see she kind of just sticks her nose right in the middle of it. And as she pulls back, like you see the little tendrils of shadow moving into her nostrils. And then she moves over to you and offers you the ball of shadow, which, as you've been watching, has diminished with each inhale, although what's left is by far the lion's share.
Okay. I will take it, I guess.
Do you take it or do you inhale?
Well, if she's handing, well, did she just bring it up to each one of them to sniff, or did she?
Yep, she literally walked it up to each one of them to sniff. She didn't actually.
They didn't actually grab it, and then, okay, then I'll look at all of them kind of in the eye. Maybe last actually being Yerzy, and then I will. Yeah, I'll inhale.
Okay. You inhale, and as you do so, like you kind of just intended to take about the same amount of breath as the rest of them took, but you find that you are unable to stop inhaling. And you watch this little ball of shadow kind of unravel as it's kind of moving into your sinuses and down your esophagus and into your body. And you feel this kind of cold, like taking a deep breath on a cold day after you step out of the house. You feel that kind of cold sensation in your chest and lungs and kind of spread throughout your body. And for a very brief second, you lose consciousness. Or at least you think you do.
Okay.
But a split second later, you are still standing. And you have the following. You get Shadow Step at will, and it increases your current Shadow Step by 60 feet.
Oh my, okay.
If you do not move during your turn in combat, as long as you're in shadowy illumination, you become invisible. As the spell, no concentration needed.
Okay.
You can cast Darkness once per long rest.
Okay.
Your dark vision is extended by 60 feet.
Oh wow, okay.
And you have the ability to see in magical darkness.
Oh, alrighty then.
And that is called the Mantle of the Shadow Guardian. The way I'll do it is I'll make up, basically I'll make up an item that does not require attunement in D&D Beyond. And you can just add it to your sheet so you get all that stuff. When you do come out of it and you're still standing there, you see that you are alone with the Baroness. Yerzy, Sorn, and Zelig are no longer there. She says, there is one additional task, and it is up to you as to whether or not you wish to do it. You must find, on this island is the tomb of the last Shadow Guardian. The very same Shadow Guardian that followed Mactus Tirbo to his death. He possesses a ring. A ring that, if worn by the Shadow Guardian, he will be granted extreme longevity, nigh immortality. It will not protect you from disease. It will not protect you from the blade. But you will cease to age. But that is not a requirement. It is up to you, as the shade of the previous Shadow Garden will not let it go lightly.
Hmm. I see.
But if it is something you wish to pursue, and you see she kind of turns and gestures, and you see with your now much longer dark vision, you see, well, you hear that song again, but now you also see the kind of rhythmic pulsing coming from a specific direction. It almost presents like black light fireflies.
Okay.
Flowing in a specific direction. If that is what you wish. And as you kind of turn
Seems
back,
like it's what you wish.
as you turn back to make that comment, she's gone.
And I'll sit there for a moment. It's like, of course, now I've got to fucking do it. Like, I can't let that, can't just let that fucking go. Like, all right, I will follow the motes of music.
So you follow, and you don't walk for super long. You only walk for about maybe half an hour. And you come to a barrow. The kind of the Skyrim style barrow where it's kind of like a slight hill, but then it's open on top and there's stairs going down. And as you kind of peer down there, you see there's the kind of iron door of a tomb. You vaguely aware that prior to the elven occupation, this is how humans used to dispose of their dead.
Sure.
This has not been in practice for a very long time.
Okay. I'm gonna maybe draw my Daisho.
Okay. You draw the...
Just get on the safe side.
What do you do?
I will I'll head down and I guess go to the, you said it was kind of an iron barred door kind of deal?
It is an iron door. It doesn't appear to be barred, but it's literally
Oh.
like entirely made of iron, and you see there's like intricate carvings that have been weather worn and beaten, but you kind of make out some of the symbology that you recognize as ancient figures of death.
Great. I will I will in fact check the door. I will investigate to see if I find anything kinky with it.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
23.
The door is locked, however, it does not appear to be trapped.
All right, I'll put my swords away and I will pull up my lockpicks, my thieves' tools, and attempt to unlock the door.
Please do.
Sadly, I got an 11 because I rolled a 2 on the die. Which is really kind of Leoban's stock and trade. Every time he tries to pick a lock, it really ends poorly for him.
So you're kind of messing with, like, you go to try to pick the lock on the door, but you realize, like, it's locked, but there doesn't appear to be a lock. But as you touch the door, you for a brief second see an interaction of your hand like those kind of blacklight fireflies, the motes of music almost flowing between your hand and the door, and the door
Okay.
just kind of cracks open a little bit.
I will push the door open.
Okay, it squeaks loudly from rust and age, but it opens.
Then I will enter.
You enter. You walk in, and there's a number of like large urns and various jars about. And kind of directly ahead of you, there appears to be a spiral staircase going down.
Okay.
You go down?
I will go down.
Okay. So you go down, and it's a very tight spiral staircase. So like you're not a big man by any stretch, but even by your standards, like Malin would not fit down here.
Fair.
Basically, the entire spiral staircase occupies a 5-foot square.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty tight. But you kind of make your way down. I assume being stealthy.
Yes.
Go ahead and roll your stealth, please.
19.
Why did I do that? I need to not do that. I need to do that instead.
Every once in a while, the dark shape of it looks like your jacket or whatever unblurs, and with there's like a little face or something almost looking like it's a silhouette. So every once in a while, when it unblurs, it looks like someone's coming up behind you.
That's
in like a cloak.
Yeah, that's my Critical Role Vaxeldon cloak.
Nice. That Vaxie, he's stealthy.
He is a stealthy bastard.
Stealthy bastard. Yeah.
And I assume you're on the lookout.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a perception roll.
I would be happy to. Ugh. 22.
Okay. So as you creep down, you get into a larger, you kind of drop down into a larger room, and as you step out, it's this large, probably 30 feet tall room. Nothing is lit, but you have dark vision, so it's not a huge deal. There are what appears to be empty sarcophagi kind of on either side, also wrought of iron. Their lids are open. There's nothing in them. And actually, in a couple of cases, you see that looks like a very old, desiccated skeleton is kind of slumped inside of them, inside of one. But it doesn't seem to react to your presence.
Fair enough.
But kind of at the far end of the room, you see on a raised dais there is a larger, more elaborate looking sarcophagus, and this one has a relief on it of a fairly fearsome looking warrior wearing very ancient armor. What do you do?
I'm gonna, I guess, start sneaking up to it, looking for traps and or things trying to hurt me.
Okay. Make your investigation roll, please.
Hey, there we go. 24.
Yeah, as you kind of make your way up to the raised dais, you don't see any traps. The whole thing is in fairly bad repair. So while there's no traps per se, there's a few places where you're like, I'm not going to step there because I will fall in.
Right.
But yeah, you are able to get up to the sarcophagus without finding any traps and unaccosted. As you get kind of, well, actually, as you kind of climb the stairs and you kind of see over the top, you see that the sarcophagus is open and empty.
Hmm. All right, I will check it just to see if there's any, maybe like buttons, secret levers or something.
Okay.
Unless some person's already gotten in here and just trashed the place, which could be the case. Dang it. Rolled a 2 on the die, so I got a 13 for investigation.
Gotcha. Give me a second.
Pardon me. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Had me a bit of one of those days myself.
Well, on Wednesday, so I got my second COVID shot on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah?
And I took Tuesday off because I thought it was going to hit you relatively soon, but no, it actually takes about 24 hours to hit you, like a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, I actually had to escape out of work early because I was just like not able to focus. And there was lots of sleeping.
That's fair. Oh, I get mine next week.
Prepare to take the next day off.
Yeah, that's... I'm going to kind of just clear like the day of and the day after and just kind of see what happens. As you're bending over to kind of look for secret buttons or whatever, you feel a blade enter through your back. Go ahead and take 27 points of damage.
Ow.
And then roll an ish.
Son of a bitch. Oh, nat 20 on the initial. Well, that's crazy. So 24 for me.
All right, you get to go first.
I will draw the katana.
Okay.
Because I technically don't have the cool feats that allow me to draw both weapons at once. And yeah, I'm going to attack with it because this right here. All right.
Because fuck that guy. Yep.
Just fuck that guy. Does a 20 hit?
A 20 will hit.
Sweet. Pretty much assuming it's not a sneak attack, because obviously the guy jacked me, but 11 damage.
Okay.
And second swing, I got a 22 to hit
Also hits.
for 7 damage.
Okay.
Then, as a bonus action, I'm going to shadow step towards the kind of the entrance to this room
Okay.
to see if I can get behind the person that shanked me,
Sure.
and then I will hide.
Okay, go ahead and roll your stealth.
Fuck. 16. Apparently, I get panicky when I get shanked from behind.
So you see this humanoid form as you swing almost like not blindly, like you're aware of it, but it's so close that you don't take in any details. So you swing, and then you bamf and kind of reappear near the entryway, and kind of duck behind one of the sarcophagi there as it turns, and you see a kind of the same relief that had been on the sarcophagus up top. You see that individual, like you recognize the armor, but kind of behind the armor, you see just white bone, and like it's wearing like the fingerless gloves and everything like that, but fingertips seem to end in bone as well. And it
Okay.
kind of like, as you kind of disappear and dip behind, you see him turn and like track your motion.
Yeah.
And then he, as it is his turn, is standing behind you as he takes 2 attacks. Because he used his bonus action to teleport to you, to shadow step to you. 22 to hit you.
That'll hit.
21 to hit you.
That will also hit because I don't have both swords out.
So 8 points for the first one. 6 points for the second.
Right. Well. Two can play at that game. I'm gonna shadow step, so I'm in a space that will be adjacent somehow.
Okay.
Or actually, sorry. We'll say with my move action, I'll draw the Wakizashi.
Sure.
Bonus, I will shadow step, so I'm beside the guy, and then I'm going to attack. The first attack will have advantage because of shadow steppiness.
Yep.
25 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I probably need some D6s out now. Then.
Yep, because you get your sneak attack for that one.
I do. Which is really the primary reason why I did that. Okay, not bad, not bad. 10 on the 10-sider, that's good. Okay, so 15, 20, 27 damage.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's for him shanking me for 27 damage. Dang it! I'm trying to make it equal. And then I got a 29 for the second hit.
Yes, you were definitely going to hit.
Sadly, the opposite of ghetto crit, I did 6 damage.
That sucks.
And that was my attack action. Figure my move was part of my drawing thing, and then my bonus was my port, so I am done.
All right. Well, basically, it's like if Nightcrawler were fighting himself.
Kind of, yeah.
So he kind of like he takes the hits and then just kind of behind you, and he will also take 2 attacks. The first one is with advantage because he is a very similar level breakdown to what you are. Oh, does an 18 hit you?
No.
Okay, that first attack will miss. Second attack. Nat 1. So yeah. So even with advantage, and now that you have the Daisho like fully deployed, he starts swinging with these daggers, and you just kind of ting 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 like Deadpool, like blocking the bullets from Cable.
I like it. Well, I'm gonna poof, and first attack with advantage. Oh, shite though, shite. 14.
Nope.
Because I rolled a 4 and a 1. Sad. Second attack, sure. That's the 27 to hit.
That'll hit.
But that does not have advantage, so that just does 10 damage.
Okay.
And then... Nope, that's it. That's it for me.
All right. He will, again, just kind of... and take his 2 swings. First one with advantage. Maybe he'll do better this time.
I hope not. I'm not doing so hot on the hit points.
27 to hit you.
Yeah, that'll hit.
So base damage is that, and then... That's a lot of ones. Still's going to hurt, though. 20 points of damage for the first.
Oh, Jesus.
How you doing over there?
Oh, I have about 20 hit points left.
Ooh, it'll hit with the second attack with a 25.
Yeah, that'll hit.
For 6 points of damage.
All right, all right. That's not so hot for me, but you know what? As a reaction, I'm going to use my Indomitable Will ability.
Yeah.
To try to heal myself a little bit. To heal myself a D10 plus 13. 8, so 21.
Nice.
I'll take it. So I may be able to survive 2 more rounds. And that technically was my reaction.
Yep. So your turn.
So now, bonus, I'll Shadow Step again, because if I get the advantage, I get the sneak attack, and that's handy.
Yep.
Sadly, though, I rolled shite yet again with another 14.
Nope.
My second attack got an 18.
Also no. So yeah, kind of distracted by the wounds that he has now inflicted, which, by the way, as you're kind of forcing yourself, forcing through sheer force of will for those to kind of dampen the pain and push forward, you feel the wounds, the first set of wounds that you got start to kind of burn in your chest, or burn in your against your skin. And the more recent set also are starting to begin to tingle in a very unpleasant way. He will Shadow Step again to be adjacent to you. But that is a 15. And then the second one is a 19.
19 will miss.
Nice. Okay.
Because of the die show, and only because of the die show.
So yeah, as he kind of poof, the pain and the tingling kind of fuels your adrenaline reflex, and you manage to block his attacks, making it your turn.
Yeah, I'll poof behind him. I'll try. So I'll bonus to Shadow Step. Oh, there we go. 24 to hit.
Oh yeah, that hits.
Funny enough, rolled 14s on both of the die, so a 14 will hit and a 14. So that slash, there we go. That's some good stuff. So 12, 13, 15, 20, 29 damage.
Nice.
And then my second shot, nat 1. All right. Well, you know.
Okay. Yeah, he's looking a bit ragged. The couple, you actually see like a couple of, like, you stab him twice, you slash him twice or once. One really, really good one from kind of the side. And you actually see like 3 of his ribs drop out of the armor.
Oh, okay.
Skeleton. So he will take his turn, and once again, rolling with advantage. Ooh, does a 20 hit you?
No.
Okay.
With the die show, it's a 22.
Nice. His non-advantaged attack is a 24, however, so he will hit you the once, just without sneak attack.
That's good.
9 points of damage. So yeah, he brings one of his daggers around and you block it with the katana, but he manages to slip the other dagger kind of up under your guard. You tried to get the wakizashi in the way, but you couldn't quite make it, and he manages to get right kind of between where your armor and your front of your armor meet. Front and your back of your armor meet. There we go.
Okay.
Your turn.
Yep, I'm gonna shadow again.
Okay.
Shadow step. Oh, and it's good I did because I rolled a 1 on one die, but I rolled a 19 on the other, so 29 to hit.
You definitely hit.
Uh, let's see. So 10, 15, 21, 23 damage.
Okay.
And then with my second attack, nice, 16 on the die, so 26 to hit.
You will hit.
And that will be for 7 more damage.
How do you want to do this?
You know, so imagine, I mean, we're poof slash slap, poof poof slash slap, poof,
Right.
poof, poof, poof. So it's all this last part, and at one point, I probably kind of stopped for a moment as breathing because, of course, the guy's, I'm guessing, undead,
Yes.
and I sit there, injured, breathing, looking kind of pathetic and decrepit, but then in very like samurai fashion, as he comes in and I poof and he poofs, and all of a sudden there's like just a little shing, and then he just kind of collapses.
So yes, very much in the style of the Batajutsu. You bring the sword up and around as he kind of was charging towards you. You move past each other, and like he was charging, but it was more like the poof poof charge.
Right.
And you managed to just time your swing, your first swing, and then you kind of followed up with the wakizashi perfectly. He misses you, and you slice him in half, and you see him just kind of collapse to the ground, just a pile of bones. I assume you searched the body.
Yes.
In addition to the Ring of Immortality, you find 2 daggers that you suspect are magical, given the burning sensation in your wounds. You find a very nice set of studded leather armor that appears to be generally undamaged in this melee.
Studded leather?
Studded leather. And you find on his wrist a bracer in which there are 3 daggers. And since you will have time ultimately to get these identified, it's +3 studded leather.
Damn.
Oh, yes, it's +3 studded leather. The bracer is the bracer of flying daggers. And both of his actual daggers that he was using are Hellfire daggers.
Oh, kind of like the Hellfire Rapier?
Yep.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend the next probably few days, because I imagine this is going to take actually a chunk of time. And I'm going to put all the bones and remains back into the crypts.
Okay.
And sort of reseal things, so to speak. As far as the guy goes, I think I'm actually going to take his 2 daggers.
Okay.
And the armor, and I think I'm actually going to put it back in the crypt.
Okay.
But in addition to that person's crypt, I'm going to go back and kind of do that to all of them that were opened.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you... as you kind of search through the place, there's a lot of desiccated bones, and you can... But there's also a lot of not so much recent, but some remains that are more recent, like in the last maybe decade.
Sure.
But basically, it seems like Tomb Raiders did go in and were like mucking up the place, but this guy was restless and took care of them.
And beat the okay.
Yeah. So you and it's pretty clear which ones are literally which bones are literally thousands of years old and which are not.
So then what I will do as far as for the grave robbers' bones, I'm going to remove their remains from the crypt
Okay.
entirely. Um, and I'm going to lock everything back up.
Okay.
But then I'm going to take the grave robbers' remains and probably make like little freaking wind chimes or other crazy shit to make it just the creep out factor, make it pretty nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You do so. And yeah, the whole process will take, we'll say, 3 days.
Sure. And probably the last thing I'm gonna, if I can find a relatively, maybe about yay sized flat stone, if I can, I would like to set it, sort of lean it up in, lean it up so it's sort of near maybe the entrance to the steps of the place.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna put in common. I'll try to carve on there or scrape on there. Fuck with the tomb and I'll kill you. And then I'll put wolf.
Nice.
Because I know that guy and I know how fucking scary he is.
No shit. No shit. Do you
like,
put
I'm a badass 20th level person. Then you meet wolf. Never mind.
Never mind, I quit.
I immediately regret my decisions and want to retire.
Do you, at any given point, do you put on the ring?
No, not quite yet.
Okay.
I'm still like, part of me is tempted to just almost do it as an afterthought, but I realized that Leoban has realized that he needs to figure out more what immortality potentially means to him.
Fair enough.
And whether that's something he actually wants.
All right.
Because, at first when you're young, it's like, oh yeah, I'm young, I'm immortal, I'm whatever. But then, like, you watch a couple seasons of Highlander and go, wow, that guy's dealing with some emotional shit. And, like centuries of it. And how does he even have good mental health? And it's like, right, they don't. Okay, never mind. Like,
because you can't isolate yourself because we're pack animals. We need other people.
Right.
But that means you have to watch the people that you have come to love die.
Right. And know
that you're going
die.
to watch.
But then do you quit loving people? You can't. No.
Right.
Like, you can't.
God, I loved that show.
I mean, just the they did such a good job, at least, of understanding the pros and cons of immortality.
Right. And they did a good job of displaying it as well.
That it was not all just
wine and roses.
Right.
So, you finish with your funereal tasks.
Yeah.
You keep the ring.
So yeah, I'll keep the ring and the bracers. Yeah.
Do you know what a bracer of flying daggers does?
Um, I don't necessarily.
It's the Vaxeldon dagger thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
They'll so you throw them, and you can also use them, but you throw them and then they reappear at the end of your turn.
gotcha. Okay.
So a little bit of a fun ranged weapon for you.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
So then what do you do?
After those few days, I'm going to. And again, I'll make sure to try and lock everything up as best I can. I
It's actually, yeah, like you go in and you can seal it up.
actually and for that matter, I think what I'll do is I'll maybe take some time since I have a couple of days where I'm doing all this, like cut some timbers that would roughly fit basically just barely fit into the doorway, then like shadow step in with them, put them up to kind of like barricade the door,
Sure, and then shadow step back out.
and then shadow step out because
Right. Yeah, you find as you pull the door closed, again, there's that kind of shadowy firefly interaction, and you feel the door kind of seal.
so yeah. And then and then with that I will teleport back to I think teleport back to where do I want to teleport back to?
Because you don't have to go back to Winterhold. You can go back to Saul's Rest. Hell, I think you have something for the mountains. Like, you can go pretty much anywhere.
Actually, I'll grab Odd
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and be like, hey,
Yeah?
so I'm, and granted, I would have tried to talk to Odd a few times during the 3 weeks or whatever. It's not like I completely ignore Odd.
Right. No, I get you.
So, I have to get back to Kira eventually,
Eventually.
but I probably still have a few days because I know we're all kind of off doing some stuff. So, what do you want to see?
Really?
Well, I have this thing called a Helm of Teleportation, which makes me go places.
Okay. So there's
no
this.
offense, but you've been kind of stuck in a dwarven mine laboratory for a while. So, now we can let you see the world a little bit.
Anywhere?
Well, I may have to throw a little caveat on like anywhere that I roughly know where I've been to before, so we have a decent shot of actually getting there.
Okay. Have you been to Arborea?
That's a.
You have not.
I have not.
All right.
Is that where the elves currently are?
No, that is the Gnomish.
Gnomish. Okay.
That is the Gnomish and Fey, really.
I have not, unfortunately. I don't know how to get there.
Darn. All right. I want to see the Red Dragon Inn.
Oh, easily done. Poof.
And unfortunately, the Red Dragon Inn is now the Silver Dragon Inn.
And I'll look at that and be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, and as you're kind of holding up the sword, you hear her's like, I thought it would be redder. Or red at all.
Apparently, the management has made some changes.
Not that we're bitter about that. So that thus endeth Leoban's side quest. You will have probably another like 4.5 months of downtime.
Okay. The reason why I was asking originally, I had 1 week of learning halfling, and then we we had like zero downtime after that.
You will learn halfling in that 4.5 months.
Yay!
Honestly, that's probably even time to learn something else on top of it.
Uh,
If you want to take the time.
I would happily take the time. Truthfully, I think I'd want to try and learn another language.
Okay.
Um, and you know what?
Hmm.
Ooh, I don't necessarily know that Adira knows like Infernal, right?
Adira didn't know that Adira knows Infernal. So no.
So then I'm gonna say maybe Giant if I can, just because. I mean,
You've been dealing with the Goliaths and you already speak Dwarven.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if I can, I guess I would definitely take the time to learn that as a language too.
Sure. And if you eventually wind up back in, well, actually, no. Um, I mean, in Saul's Rest, there's other Goliaths and whatnot, so you can learn from them. The old bouncer Bork is an ogre, and he speaks giant, and
Okay.
very very poor common. And he's out of a
Sweet.
job right now, so he's happy to spend his time teaching you how to speak giant.
Actually, granted, we haven't decided what we're doing with the group fund yet necessarily, right?
No, you have not.
But of course, I'm the one carrying most of that in the hamper sack. So you know what? I'll go up to. You said his name was Bork.
Yep.
Hey Bork, I got a proposition for you.
He just kind of looks at you somewhat dully.
Um, I need someone to help us out because, quite frankly, I'm not a big fan of the Silver Dragon Inn. I prefer the old school, because that was the place. But
You see his face just kind of like he scowls a little bit, and of course he's an ogre, so it's kind of terrifying when he scowls. But you realize that he's not scowling at you. Like he's upset. He's clearly upset by the turn of events as well.
so here's what I'm thinking. Saul's Rest maybe needs another get together place, another tavern, and maybe an inn. But I need someone, I can't necessarily be here all the time to oversee the building of it.
You want
Would
me
you
find you
be,
a builder?
well,
He switches to giant, which you've now learned. Do you want me to find you a builder?
why, my dear friend, I would I would actually be interested in very much in paying you money to help get it set up and manage it. How would that sound?
Well, I'm not very good with people. I feel that would be difficult, especially given my common kind of sound like this.
Well, then perhaps um, when it gets down to the hiring of people, we can discuss further and maybe figure out something else. But at the very least, if you'd be willing to, if you'd be willing to work on overseeing the construction of said place, I would very much be interested in paying you a handsome fee for it. And once the place is done, talk about employing you further. Maybe perhaps at your old job if that such thing interests you.
Yes, I do very much miss working as a bouncer. It was very rewarding work.
Well, and we have always appreciated it when there have been drunkards that you've gotten rid of so that we didn't have to be bothered. We appreciate that.
Ah, yes, nothing flies quite so well as a drunk man.
True.
Especially when they vomit when you pinwheel them through the air.
So tell you what.
Sorry, that was an image that I now am not going to be able to unthink.
So tell you what. I have. Oh, actually, this works great. I pull out the +1 great sword.
Oh, Jesus. His eyes get real wide because it's literally the nicest weapon he's ever seen.
So, to show our appreciation and to show you that we mean sincerely about this and that we are in this as a solid endeavor, I'm going to give you this.
This is a magnificent weapon.
And it will be wielded by you magnificently.
He takes a couple of practice swings and you realize he's actually not, like, he's not bad with it.
Sure.
As in he's got, like, a level or two of fighter.
That's fair. And I'll pull out about 10 grand.
Here's 1,000 platinum.
Yeah, it's like, and here's some coinage to get started.
And again, his eyes get real wide because this is probably the most money he's ever seen in one place.
Now, I will attempt to be in town when I can. However, I do have certain matters that do take me away from things. If you, I will definitely try to check in though. I guess if you can, feel free to leave messages with maybe Adira's parents, and I give their names.
Right. Oh, yes, of course. They were always very kind to me.
Or if you want to take a walk, drop something off at my mom and dad's place. But it's out of town, so I understand if you're not,
I will find a way to communicate. Worry not, Master Leoban.
And I will make sure to stay in touch. If you'd be willing to keep this a secret from Katie, Adira, and Mullen and Kira, I want this to be kind of a surprise for them when.
Of course, discretion will be my watchword.
Wonderful. Bork, I am excited for this business opportunity. I see great things ahead of us.
As do I, Master Leoban. Bork happy.
And I'll shake his hand.
He shakes his massive hand.
And try not to wince when he probably crushes mine.
Well, he's actually gotten pretty good at not, like, bearing down.
That's fair.
He's been around humans long enough to realize, or humans and elves and other things long enough to realize that they are fragile, and he can smush them.
That's fair.
So,
because we have so many. We have some rando magic items that none of us really use, and it's like, he should use that. Ooh, I'm almost tempted. And provided things go well, there may be some other gifts awarded. We'll put it that way.
Excellent. I will begin work on the morrow.
But hey, a +1 greatsword is a great negotiating tool. I figure that's a great place to start.
Yep. All right, so he will the next day begin work on a new tavern.
And I'll make a quick note here, 10,000 GP from party fund. To Bork?
Bork. B-O-R-K.
That feels like money well spent. I have no idea.
So, all told, you spent probably, finishing up learning Halfling, completely learning a new language. We'll say that took you about a month.
Okay.
Maybe a month and a half. So you're looking at probably another month or so Do you stick around Saul's Rest and kind of oversee things? Do you go back and connect up with Kira again?
I would definitely check in with Kira and Winterhold just to see what's going on there. I mean, the beauty of the teleportation is I'm pretty mobile, so
Sure.
I can. I probably would set it up to. I'd check in with the officials of the city. More of a Saul and the moms and Kira.
So when you get back towards the end of that, you learn that Bellamy has earned enough of a following with the populace that they are going to be holding an election.
Okay.
And he has managed to get the following to open up the possibility, instead of having an elder matriarch, having it not matter what gender you are.
Sure.
However, the mothers, the Berglund matriarchy, have slipped a caveat into the election process that states that you cannot be in charge, you cannot be basically a spiritual leader and the leader of Winterhold at the same time.
Nice.
However,
separation of religion and state.
Exactly.
That should actually fucking happen. But anyway.
We'll see how that goes. Anyway, the moms, one of the moms is going to be running, and Bellamy turns out has his own champion, however.
Okay.
In Sabina, Kira's older sister.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And so that kind of election process is going to be coming up, and that's kind of where we're going to pick up with the game itself.
Nice. Yeah, I imagine. So officially, I would check in with them.
Malin went off with Merrick. Apparently, Merrick had brought back some news of her mother.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so she went off and has not come back yet.
Okay.
I have not run Katie's game. I'm not sure if they're back yet. So.
Gotcha.
Kira is back. Adira, you actually probably ran into in Saul's Rest.
Okay.
Because she spent most of her time there after her mission, after her side quest.
Then tell you what, if Adira was spending a lot of her time there, I probably would have let her in on the secret as far as and let Bork know that as well.
Okay.
Because
I will let
figure
David
that way, if Bork needs to deal with personnel, Adira
can handle it. Yeah.
Because that seems like a smart move on that part.
Yeah. So yeah.
And then I imagine if I'm not in an official, well, and I say official capacity there, definitely spending time with Kira when I can, and then probably back at Saul's Rest. So probably kind of back and forth, or quite frankly, for that matter, if they need me to send messages or whatever, I'm right now okay courier service.
Do you do any more vigilante work?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Unofficially, every time I get back, I probably will spend some nights with Whiskey Jack doing some vigilanteism. Until I am told no, I will then go yes and do the thing.
Do me a favor, and just as a way of ending this a little bit, ending this on an interesting note, go ahead and make an insight check.
Insight? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I know you're not great at it, but...
Fuck. 8. No, I'm definitely not good at reading people.
So metagame, since I'm not going to play this out in character, Leoban is oblivious, but I want Brian to know.
Yes.
Whiskey Jack develops feelings for Leoban during the course of working together.
Oh, interesting.
But sucks at people?
So do I.
And so she's very like it's I mean, you can imagine. It's kind of this comedy of errors where like he just doesn't get it. She's carrying a torch. Leoban's got a thing for Kira.
Like the most frustrating romantic comedy,
right.
teen angst comedy Yeah.
like cue Benny Hill theme at this point. Just
Oh.
so, and that is where we will leave your particular character
All right.
until we pick up at the end of next weekend, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, the
Beautiful.
23rd.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm not going to look it up right now. So thank you all for joining us this evening, or day, or whatever time you're watching this. Thank you for joining. We do appreciate it. I have one more of these to do. That is with Schmoopsy. Katie is going to get her little adventure. I have been informed that Katie is going after your mom and figuring out what she's been up to. So
Yes. Okay. Good.
Because I know you're
I did
desperately.
not get the answers I wanted.
You did not, but each of you has gotten a little bit of piece of the puzzle. So when you guys come together, you will. Oh, shit! You will all have a little piece of the puzzle to start putting together and being able to kind of get a jumping off point. So
Nice.
all right, everybody, thank you again, and we will see you when we see you.
Goodbye. See you soon.